All right. Good evening, all. I am Jared Wilson. I'm one of the hosts of Resilient Living Podcast and joined by my friend Ryan Steva.
Hey, everybody.
All right. So we had this wild, crazy idea of because we both like to do research and we like to delve down rabbit holes, which is a bit of a I don't know. I grew up going to the library and going through the cards and learning how to do research, old school ways, right? But I think that's something that at least in Web 2 is not as intuitive. And that I figured that this would be a good subject that we might be able to talk about of how to find the information after and how to discern good quality information from the plethora of crap that's out there.
Yeah, the Dewey Decimal System is all but gone at this point,
I
isn't it?
Isn't that weird? I mean, it
Yeah.
was such a like a okay, for me it was like kind of like the quicksand thing. Like I thought this was like the most important thing to learn as a child was the Dewey Decimal System and to stay away from quicksand.
That's right.
Child of the 80s. I mean, like that was
Talk about misinformation.
right. That's a great yes. That is fantastic. So
So yeah, we're going to talk about how to sort through, or how at least Jared and I tend to sort through information in a world gone mad. And
yeah.
I put together some kind of notes ahead of time, and I put the blood and gore at the beginning, all the
You
problems.
did. That's a
Yeah.
rough list. So want to dig into it?
Sure, yeah, let's go.
Alrighty. So
Um,
problems in the world gone mad. I like you start off with groupthink. That is such a good place to start off with because it is so prevalent in our culture to the tribalism aspect of just surrounding yourself in this echo chamber and this and having these groupthink ideas. So you want to flesh out what all aspects of groupthink we can encounter?
yeah, obviously, the big one that we see in our world today tends to be that political groupthink, and you've got this in my estimation. I don't care so much about left and right or the politics of it, but realizing that we've been conditioned to understand things from a binary lens. If it's not this thing, it's that thing, or if it's not that thing, it's this thing.
Right.
And there's no understanding that it's not everything isn't just a sliding scale, that there might be extra dimensions to it,
Yes.
and there might be nuance to it, and there might be subtlety to it.
Right.
Um, yeah. So, and with the group think thing, we just get so stuck on, and if I say something that disagrees with somebody else's group think, but I'm not agreeing with the other side, they immediately assume that I'm
Yes.
a, fill in the blank.
Yeah, you must be a because you agreed with this or disagreed with that. Yes.
Right.
That false dichotomy.
Yeah, exactly. So binary thinking, false dichotomy. I think we get in our groups and our tribes, and we're so, whether it's through school, whether it's just kind of human nature to get really into whatever group we're in and then protect that thinking above logic, above reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And above truth.
Yes. I've really of in my mind it makes sense. Maybe not to everybody, but in my mind I've kind of boiled it down to insecurity. We're so insecure with our own position a lot of times that we want to surround ourselves with people who agree with us because that reinforces the opinion that we've already arrived at. We
Hmm.
want to have that comfort of being no, I am right because everybody else agrees with me.
Right.
um, which is a really slippery slope and a very dangerous place to be, and it's really not helpful to anybody, yourself included.
Right. Yeah. There's something interesting that, uh, let's say you remember Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah.
That stupid talk
Yes.
show.
Yeah.
Um, there was the ask or poll, what was it? Poll the audience.
Right.
And the vast majority of the time, the audience would be, whatever the majority opinion was, the audience was right,
Oh, okay. Sure.
which So just on a statistic level, that's kind of interesting. But I think there's something true about if, if a overall population thinks something, there's probably a reason for it and there's probably some truth behind that. But we get caught in this trap of if most people think it, or if it's the loudest thing in the media at the time, we get stuck in that group think, and just can't be critical about it. So, I think there's reasons for it, and I think also, when you have true tribalism, you have actual tribes or people in small groups.
Yeah.
When you have a really, really dissident thinking from that group, you run the risk of being kicked out of it.
Yeah, being ostracized from your
Yeah.
own group. Absolutely. Well, and that kind of jumps into your second one of the profit motives. When you have social media, when you have all of these sources of information, going back to the loudest aspect, when their profits are derived directly from interaction, and then yeah, that's not going to be a safe way of getting good, reliable data.
Right. Yeah, I think the easiest thing for people to see is all the 80s jingles for for pharmaceuticals that will make you go blind, deaf, and bleed from your
Yeah,
various
right.
places. Um, for to make your, I don't know, make your nose breathe a little bit better at night or something. And it's like,
Right.
who would buy this? And then you start to realize that they're just buying the media organizations. So the media organizations don't do their job and report about the problems with the actually
Yeah, no.
profit driving
They don't
product,
care.
right?
They're
Yeah.
making money.
Yeah. So you've got these long, really long, weird ads where you're like, why would I ever buy this product when 90% of this 10-minute ad is about how it's going to make
All
you
the
bleed from
negative. Yeah,
orifices?
exactly.
I don't
Could
want
result in
that.
death. Like,
Right.
why would I want that?
Yeah.
Life
So
isn't
you can
deadly
make,
enough as it is.
right. So the misaligned profit motives is something that you have to watch out for when you're doing your research. When you're trying to find truth in information, there's so much you just have to be watching for what is the profit motive.
Yeah,
And it comes back to follow the money, which is, that's kind of like the detective thing
it really is.
is go and look where motive is.
Yeah, who's getting
Um,
paid?
yep. Charlie Munger, who's a really interesting guy, dead now, but
Okay.
really interesting. Um, he said, I think it was, if you show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome.
Ooh,
So
ooh,
the
okay.
idea is
Yeah,
look at the structure of something, look at where the incentive is, and you'll likely be able to guess what the outcome would be.
sure.
And so as we're digging into data, as we're pouring through, whatever information to try to get something that's useful, we might want to look at when did this data come out? When did the research paper come out? When did the book come out? What was the timeline? Because that's going to give us it may give us clues because we know something else happened at a given time.
Sure. Oh, very often, I'll see, oh, this research came out. Like, okay, let me see the actual research here. Because um I don't want to hear somebody else's interpretation of data. I want to
Mhm.
see the data myself. What where were the outliers? What was the data set? How big of a group did we pull from? What was involved in it? Was this a study done in the 80s? Is this a study done in the 1800s? Like there's some
Mhm.
old data that still gets regurgitated.
Yep.
So yeah.
An excellent example of that is if and I would encourage people to look this up. Um, if you go and you look for information about comfrey and its safe use internally.
Okay.
Now, I'm not making any recommendations here,
No,
but
no,
I'm
no.
telling people other than go
Do
look
your
at
own
the
research.
research. Yeah. Go and find the research. Just type in any search engine, is comfrey safe to consume? And inevitably what you'll get is absolutely not. It can cause cancer. So then take that if they give a citation, which they almost never do, but if you can find a some media, something or other that gives a citation, it will cite back to another paper, which cites back to another paper, which cites back to another paper. And when you follow that trail all the way back to its inevitable end, what
Right.
you'll find is a research paper which is so ridiculously flawed that it
Ah,
is almost unimaginable. So what they did was, I I think they did a couple of different ones with different animals. I
okay.
think rabbits was one and pigs was another. But what they did is they fed them nothing but comfrey for months on end. And then
Oh, yeah.
they saw a
There's a
slight
negative
uptick.
outcome.
Yeah, they saw a
Duh.
slight uptick in liver cancer in those animals.
Man, those
And
poor
so,
animals. That
yeah,
sucks.
and therefore comfrey causes liver cancer if
Right.
you
Yeah.
consume it.
Like, that's not how life works.
Yeah, but you can't find like anything because the motive, the profit motive, the incentive is built to hide that information because just about everything, including Google, including YouTube, which is owned by Google, including
Yep.
every single media organization, is paid off by these pharmaceutical companies because comfrey has potential healing properties that
Oh, yeah.
would negate the profit motive of the drug that they're selling, and they've bought extremely expensive commercial space on these. So, and
Yeah.
we're on YouTube. Hopefully we don't get, blacklisted for this or
Right.
something, but
It's all right. We're
um
not monetized. They can do whatever they
that's right.
So make sure
um
you share, like, and
like,
follow and spread the no.
that's right, smash that like button.
That's right.
But yeah, the profit motive and misleading incentives is, those are like, figure those out
Right.
because those drive the data that you're getting.
Okay, so
So
considering that, like you said, Google, YouTube, all these are owned, and controlled by outside sources, how would you go about doing research on, say, Comfrey?
yeah, so that's where, following it back to the original source is a big
Right?
deal. The other thing is figuring out roughly when the kind of attack on the thing started and then going and finding source material before that.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. Um, so I think those studies were done in the 80s, 90s
Okay.
era. So let's say I go back and I look at 1970s and earlier folk medicine books or, herbal books that hopefully won't have that polluted study, you know,
That jaded the
biasing them.
yeah.
Mhm.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, so, and books are huge.
Yes,
There's
they are.
somebody you and I know. I won't share names because I don't want to get this person in trouble or something, but who I know who is connected to the library system. I'll put it this way.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I was told by this person that the library doesn't allow libraries to buy books that are more than 7 years old.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Awfully recent.
Yeah, awfully recent. And there's a lot of classics, a lot of incredible information that was written before 7 years ago.
Sure
There's a lot
was.
of changes that have happened since 7 years ago in modern thought. And I would
Yeah.
say the science.
Yeah, that's
So,
only what, 2018.
mhm,
Like, that wow. Yeah, that's wild.
yep. So yeah, that's a big thing is jumping back in time
Sure.
and using immutable sources like physical copies of books.
Yeah, right.
What have you got on that?
So, I have it's gonna be backwards, but anyway, this is my original Foxfire 3 book that I still have. My recommendation is if your grandparents are alive, go raid their library. Go find all of their old books because most likely there's going to be books like this in their library that have just sat there. They're fantastic. They're such a good resources, but there are still like good quality, modern books. So like this is one. This is Basics of Butchering Livestock and Game. It's just a good solid resource, how to butcher it out, how to even how to cook. It's got some pretty decent recipes in it, like actually some good recipes. There's such good resources, but coming back to being discerning, it takes some time, and reach out to other people who enjoy books, who've spent the time reading these books, going, oh, okay, yeah, that's not actually great because they're, like you said, citing resources and studies that really jaded and biased their opinions. Off-grid farm essentials. Can't. Yeah, I love this book. It's such a good. My daughter will sit on in between her subjects. She will just sit there reading this book. Just she's like, "Oh, Dad, did you know with rabbits you need to do this and that, and you need to?" Oh, like I didn't remember that. I'm glad you looked it up.
Yeah.
Because there's so many, like you said, nuance. There's so much information. For me, I was blessed. I had three sets of grandparents and several great grandparents that I got to grow up around. My great grandmother lived in my back house growing up. She came in a covered wagon from Oklahoma to California during the Dust Bowl, I think, or somewhere
Wow.
thereabouts. The stories, oh my gosh, were amazing. Like you said, the nuance. I could learn so much from my grandparents, born in 28 and 32, I think so. Um, because they learned it, they did it. They saw the outcomes of it. It wasn't hearsay, it wasn't opinion as much as like, no, this is what we did. We planted this, it grew like this, unless we did that. Um, if your grandparents are still alive, go talk to them.
Yeah.
Go talk to them about their childhood, about, the crops they grew, or woodworking, or there were still, fur traders in some areas, like walking line, trap lines. Go talk to 'em. That you have an unbelievable resource and I think you even talked about going finding weird people or odd people.
Yeah.
I like that. Like, I'm one of those. I'm odd people.
Yep.
Because the the odds are is that they've become really, really good at something.
Mhm.
The depth of knowledge and that nuance of, oh yeah, you're going to want to do this except or unless, and they know all those little details and those tidbits. It's such a good, and going back to this thing that we harp on all the time, community. Those
Mhm.
are an integral part of our community, is our heritage. It's the people that have come before us, who struggled through those things, have learned, and yeah, that was a yeah. So anyway, that's I
Yeah.
got some
Well,
other books too, but yeah.
community, because we're going to harp on this
Yeah, yeah.
every podcast, probably, right? Couple of things there. Let's see, it was Sunday.
Yeah.
I've got a kid handing me a book. Thank
Oh,
you.
there you go. Nice. All right, what book do you
I'll
got?
get back to it, but this is the
Ah,
Handbook of Natural Studies.
nice.
This is awesome. It's super thick. It's old. It's written in slightly different English than we even speak now. I was telling Jared before the podcast, there's like they use the word thusly, which is
Right?
fantastic. Um, but I just opened it to a random page, and the first thing that I came across when this book came in the mail was like how to avoid erosion on farmland. And there's all these amazing little tips that, you could watch 100 hours of YouTube videos and nobody's going to talk about it. And
Sure.
it's like, because they're using furrowing plows or whatever. And they're like,
Yeah.
plow on contour. So
Yeah.
you don't get as
Follow
much
that
erosion.
line
Yeah.
across the yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
Just simple
beyond
tips.
it.
And some of these books are such great reference material and you'll learn so much. And I think we tend towards convenience. And it's like it's easy to sit on the couch at night and watch a YouTube video from somebody who may or may not know what they're talking about
Yeah.
and may or may not be somewhere totally different than you are.
Or say, "Hey, Chat GPT, how do I" yeah, right?
Exactly. And not that we should avoid those resources, but we should be
No.
super aware of uh, how to ask the questions,
Yes.
how to interpret the data that we get out of them, and then how to like go from there, like take that and dig into it. Cause what I've found is like Chat GPT, one of the things I've found, I can find the definition of something or the different things that thing's been called. Like,
Oh,
um,
yeah. Sure.
I did a video on stone lines recently and
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, Chat GPT, what are what has this been called historically, in
Nice.
different cultures? So now I can get all the different names of this thing and dig into it from there. And so it's almost like going to a doctor who can say, "Oh yeah, that thing on your skin, that's ringworm." And now I can go and figure out about ringworm rather than taking a steroid and an antibiotic. Maybe I can
Right.
go, now I have a definition. Now I can go and do the research to figure out how can I deal with this naturally or how can I not have it in the future?
Yeah, and I think, for me, often I'll have an idea. It's like, I want to know about this thing, but I don't know what it's called. And
Mhm.
so I'll end up doing, like, these really weird Google image searches to
Yep.
try and find a picture of the thing, and then, okay, now I know what it's called, now I know who makes it, whatever, and now I can do the research as to what to do with it, or what to do about it, or how to replace it, or whatever it is. So, yeah, no, I totally get that one.
Have you noticed how broken Google is? It's like,
Yes.
and I
It's almost useless at this point. It's
it
really
is.
bad.
It's so bad. And I think my understanding of this is that they knew AI was coming.
Mhm.
And so they decided to drive the thing off a cliff into the ground full
Just
speed with
bury it,
advertisers.
right?
Like, it was like, we're going to suck as much money out as we can through advertisement dollars.
Sure.
And it basically broke the entire thing. Um, and unfortunately, even like
Yep,
Brave Search and some of these others, they're using Google's crawlers. So they're
yep,
pretty much just as bad.
uh-huh, which is really, really frustrating.
Yep.
So then we come back to AI. So, do we we want to utilize this technology, but we want to be able to control, what information we're getting. This, and we've talked about this because, like, at one point, you and I had, like, spitballed around with the idea of making our own large language model and just feeding it, PDFs of, legit good books. Um, because for our application, we just wanted to have a good, solid, result. We wanted a Wikipedia that wasn't Wikipedia, uh,
Mhm.
um, which, still is an option. I mean, we still have that huge collection of PDFs. But for those who don't have that access, um, how do we go forward? Being that Google is not great, we use AI. Um, so, do you have any tricks for getting good data out of AI? I guess.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure you've got some as well. My first thing that I want to say about AI is I don't trust the
No,
companies running this. And I think,
no.
have you ever seen, what is it? That character from Star Wars? He goes, "It's a trap."
Yes,
You know what
yes.
I'm talking about? Okay.
Admiral Akbar.
Yes. And there's Woot.com used to make this great shirt where he's got
Yes.
his fingers in a Chinese finger trap.
It's a
It's a trap.
trap. Yes,
Anyways, sorry, we're nerding out, and I think we're losing viewers.
I know, right?
Um, I think AI is kind of that way. I think it's really useful now, kind of like Google was really useful, and
Right.
people got so used to Google that they relied on it for everything. And then Google started selling advertising, and people didn't realize that what they were actually doing when they searched Google was being influenced by the advertisers,
Right,
being
yeah. The
pushed
top
one way.
results are the ones who
Yep.
pay.
Yeah,
Well, and
exactly.
and I'm hoping, I can't say I'm hoping. I'm expecting that this is just the demise of Web 2 with the
Mhm.
introduction of Web 3. Now where Web 3 goes, I have no idea. But the way we interface with it, instead of being the query results, we're going to have more of a direct interaction of, I need this, and it spitting out an answer as opposed to sending us on a web search,
Mhm.
which seems to work s- fairly hand in hand with AI.
Right.
But then we were talking about, ahead of this show was, well, once we become dependent on AI, then where are we? We don't have a fallback. We don't have, any of these resources, and that's where we come back to physical books being
Mhm.
such an important resource, having good community because that's such a phenomenal resource. is not being so dependent on these technologies that are good, they're useful, but they need to be used, I don't know, kept at arm's reach. I
Yeah.
don't, because like you said, I don't trust them. Let's see
Well,
who.
then
Oh, gotta is DuckDuckGo a good search? Thoughts?
I see DuckDuckGo, I think is okay. I personally use the Brave browser and Brave search.
Yeah.
My reason for that is the Brave browser is using the technology of Google Chrome, but they've made they're using the open source side of it.
Right.
So
I
developers
like
can look at it.
the browser's great.
Mhm.
Their search, results aren't great. I have to do a lot of tinkering with my query to get good results. But yeah, I would agree that it is good. DuckDuckGo's I it's incomparable, I think, to be, the quality of research. You have to fiddle with it a lot.
I think it's overall a good privacy, as far as I
Yeah,
know, good privacy. Firefox,
that's really their focus. Mozilla,
yep.
yeah.
Mozilla and Firefox have totally sold out to the globalist
Yes, they have, which
garbage.
is really a bummer because I used to use Mozilla all the time.
Yep, me too. But right now, Brave seems to be the best. The other really cool thing about Brave, and this is, I know it's not search, it's a browser, but
You can go
Brave, if you
incognito
install
with
it,
Tor.
yes, exactly. You can use Tor, which is, this is a different rabbit hole, but
Yes.
Tor is basically a free anonymizing multi-layer VPN for the sake of simple explanation.
Yeah.
And it has it automatically built in, and you can use you can actually use uh, Brave's AI, which I believe pulls from Gemini, but you can
Really?
use it totally anonymously while you're incognito on Tor. So you
Ah,
can use AI without giving AI your data if you want to.
nice.
And it actually has context, so you can keep asking it questions based on what you've already asked it. So
Oh,
it
that's really helpful.
yep. So if people are really concerned about AI and giving their data, which I am, you can actually use Brave's private, or what is it, private window with
Mm,
Tor,
right.
um, and then you can go to the Brave search site, and actually it's called Ask Leo
Oh, yeah.
is their system, and so yeah, you can do a contextual conversation with the AI totally anonymized.
That's slick. I was trying, for like our thumbnails and things like that. I'll try different AIs. I was playing around with X's version. Was it Grok?
Mhm.
Um, that is the most racist image creator. I don't understand. I'm like, why are you pushing race so hard? I didn't ask. I asked about farming. What are you on about? Like, why?
Right. Weird.
It
Yeah,
is.
and I think that comes back to the groupthink dichotomy thing, right?
Yes, very much so.
Because I don't think that the people who are programming it are probably even racist or thinking that way. I think it's we'll get people to use our platform by doing this,
I think
and
so.
we'll get this group of people to use our platform by, allowing this essentially. So,
Yeah, sure.
um, so I'm going to jump back for a minute with some of the
That's fine.
problems.
Yeah.
What do you think of gatekeepers?
I
Is
hate
that
them.
something you thought through much?
I've struggled my entire professional career of being a gatekeeper unintentionally. It was super easy for us to I would go to a class and I would be the designated person for that device, that system, that infrastructure, whatever it may be. And it really irritated me because there was never once that I got to go on vacation and didn't get, I mean, like sometimes I got called back. Like I just checked into my hotel at the coast and I'm getting a call to come back, 4 hours back to the hospital to fix a problem that I'm like, I've taught you all how to do this. So I have this like this burning loathing inside. Like, if this information exists, it needs to be available. So,
Mhm.
during COVID, I get to toot my own horn a little bit. During COVID, we had all these ventilators that were being brought out of out of mothballs to try and keep people alive, right? There wasn't service documentation to how to fix them, how to test them, how to do any of this stuff. And so Kyle, the owner of ifixit.com, he put out an all points bulletin to the internet saying, we're looking for service documentation for biomedical devices. And so I reached out to him and said, hey, I have a database of some 20,000 service manuals. You are free to have it. So he and I, with 100 out of work librarians, put together a completely open source service manual documentation database on iFixit's website. And we built this whole thing, and it's fantastic. I love it. And that goes back to the right to repair movement, which I was a big, supporter of and pushed really hard with that. So no, it's ridiculous to hold John Deere. John Deere did and they shot themselves in the foot bad.
Yeah.
When you alienate farmers, like you just like, why would you do that? That's literally the hand that feeds you. Why would you screw over your farmers?
You're not coming back from that.
No. Yeah. And there was no reason for it.
Right.
Oh, it's proprietary software. I don't care.
Right.
It's a Cummins or it's a whatever engine. Like, let me fix my engine.
Or your own transmission. When you can't replace your own transmission on your tractor because it's got some chip in it that keeps you from, that's ridiculous.
It is. It absolutely is. And so, yeah, gatekeeping is just one of those things that
well, and we saw this so much, and whatever people's viewpoint is on how things went with COVID, there was so much of the science and certain people pronouncing themselves as the science and being gatekeepers, so that even people who were very well very aware of and capable of thinking through these problems were kept out because they didn't have a specific credential, or they didn't agree with the person who had the specific credential. And there's so much gatekeeping. And one of the things I noticed I recognized my ability to research when I ended up having to address my health issue in my 20s.
Yeah.
And I started digging into the research papers, and there's so much garbage, but I sorted through all of it. And, I got down to the source documentation, and much of that is inaccessible now. They've put it behind paywalls. They've made it so you can't find it.
Yeah. And white papers are not available, which is bizarre because it's a white paper. It needs to be available.
That's kind of the idea.
It really is.
And so today I wouldn't be able to do I could probably still figure things out through other means because I've figured out how to.
But it's going to take a lot more work. Yeah.
Well, and if I hadn't been building that ability to research, to understand this entire time since then, I'd be lost.
Sure.
And so now I'm constantly doing it. So I'm constantly finding the new workarounds to the problems.
Right.
But if I just started today, I would probably just be on drugs and be really unhealthy the rest of my life.
Sure.
So, but yeah, gatekeepers, there's so many of them.
Anytime anyone says that they are the source of truth, that they hold like, nope, that's the biggest red flag in the world. Like, you're done. Like,
trust me, bro, I've got a lab coat.
Right. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, you ain't God, so you ain't the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, there's this idea. I can't remember the name of the book series, but it's an old sci-fi book series. And there's a concept of they call them FNORDs, so like FNORDS or something.
Okay, I was really curious when I saw that.
Yeah. So the idea is that it's lies hidden in plain sight.
Oh.
So you basically set up a society to believe a lie in such a way that you can put it right out in plain sight and people don't recognize it. And an example of this would be take any media article and follow it by researchers say. That's a FNORD, right? Because
Yeah.
what researchers say it actually means is 3 people who wear lab coats
Yes.
suggest that this might be a possibility,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
now it's scientists say science
Now it's
says,
gospel truth. Yeah.
right, and you can spin anything that way. So if you see a headline that reads blah 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 experts say,
Right.
or X, the new science is, or science says,
Yeah.
there's tons of other FNORDs, but just as a easy example in our society is basically if you see that, basically skip to the last paragraph, read the last paragraph where they finally tell you, yeah, but all that was probably crap and we don't really know. And
Right.
if they're of any journalistic integrity
Integrity. Yeah.
whatsoever, they'll put the source link in there. And then you can
Yeah.
go to the source link,
You go,
read their,
oh,
yeah, read the
right.
abstract and go, that's not what they were saying at all.
Sure. Well,
And
so I went looking just because I knew they existed at some old, studies and like smoking as a treatment for asthma.
right.
Like, I'm sorry, what? Like, oh yeah, early 20th century. Some doctors believe that inhaling warm tobacco smoke would clear the phlegm from the lungs and relieve asthma. Physicians even published advertisements endorsing specific cigarettes for being soothing or beneficial. What?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There's actually health benefits
That
to,
that is true,
right?
and that aside, but
Yeah.
it's just wild that we are heroin for a cough suppressant.
Right. Yes. Yeah,
Wow,
that's pretty crazy.
that'll do it. I mean, like, whoo.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, the things that we've come through and there was money behind it, right?
Yes, yeah,
Camel or whoever was Philip Morris was, paying doctors to say this is the brand I smoke, right?
yeah. Until the end when they couldn't say that anymore, and then where did all those scientists go?
Right.
Food industry, medical
Yep.
industry.
That's right. It's almost like end of World War II. Where did all the scientists from
Yes.
yeah, they definitely didn't end up at NASA.
Where is my tinfoil hat? It's around here somewhere. This turned into that show. Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
There's some meme, I forget what it is, but it's like this meme about something about filing papers, and you should go Google it. Just look up Operation Paperclip. You'll find out all about how to organize papers or
Oh, that's funny.
yeah.
Oh,
Anyhow, yes, we need our tinfoil hats on this one.
right.
Yeah, but Nords are just this idea of basically society gets so used to an idea, and then those Nords build on others. So you get one on top of the next because everybody knows,
Sure.
or, this is just how it is. Tobacco heals asthma, right? Or,
Or the
opium is
converse,
great.
it causes cancer. Like, do they know that? Is that
Yeah.
actually yeah.
Hmm. Yep.
Does
And
fluoride actually fix teeth?
yes, of course it does. Stop trying
Because
to harm kids.
because in one little town in Florida who had high fluoride levels, they noticed fewer cavities in children.
Well, and that's the same kind of fluoride that comes out of industrial processes too.
There you go.
So,
Back to the money.
yep, back to the money. In fact, if you look that up, I think that's the first intervention from the what is it, FDA or EPA.
Oh.
Anyways,
Ha.
yeah, it's a fun rabbit hole, but we won't get into that. Yeah, what else? On thinking through things. Do you have some more books?
I do. I love, so I've got the Herbalist Bible.
Mhm.
So going back to medicines, I guess most people don't realize, or maybe they do, I don't know. Most modern medicines are designed as synthetic versions of herbs. Like
Yep.
that's what they are. Is they're a synthesized version of an herb with a lot of negative consequences because it's synthetic, not the natural original plant.
Mhm.
Um, so knowing what herbs grow, what they look like, what to do with them, how to use them. Do they need to be in a salve? Do they need to be in a tincture? Do you need, to inhale them? Do you need to ingest them? Do you need to allow them to soak? Like whatever it is. A lot of this research has been done for literally millennia, and we're losing it.
Mhm.
Going back to the, talk to your grandparents. There's probably like, dandelions and whatever that just, they're a pest. They're a weed. I hate the term weed.
Yeah.
It bugs me. I'm like, no, it's just a plant that's growing where you don't want it to. That doesn't mean that it in and of itself is this bad, horrible thing. It's just not where you want it. That's fine, but it's not like that this evil thing. No, because a lot of those weeds have some fantastic medicinal, or they're good for other plants, or they're good for the insect population, or they're good for whatever.
Oftentimes they come in to repair the thing that's been damaged in the earth in that
Yes.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason it's growing there and it's and flourishing in that place. It's because there's a problem that it's trying to rectify.
Yeah.
Like God
Yep.
had a plan or something when he designed this stuff. It's weird.
Crazy to think of. Yeah, we talked about AI a little bit before, and
Yeah.
you mentioned herbal stuff. I there's an AI by Google, which is like the worst of the worst, right? But Google and AI.
Right?
But it's called Notebook LM, and
Okay.
I've got a terabytes of PDF books,
Yeah.
and Notebook LM allows you to drop in. You I think it's something like 50 or 60 books,
Nice.
and you can make different instances. So I
Okay.
have one instance that is all my herbalist books in one, and I can go in there and I can say, what does this say about, what do these books say about this
Just
topic?
distill it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it will not only tell me what each of the books says, but it'll give me the reference numbers to the pages.
Very
And
cool.
so, and I can either click on it and read it within that program,
Right.
or I can go out of that program and look at it on my computer. But you can do that with permaculture books. You can do that with building books, like alternative building, or
Yeah.
even just general construction books, handyman books, whatever. Drop
Nice.
them in Notebook LM as long as it continues to work, because it's your source material and it's just providing the horsepower to delve through it.
Sure.
And then so now I can go, okay, I want to heal, I don't know, plantar fasciitis,
Sure.
whatever. What do these herbalist books say about plantar fasciitis? And now I've got all of that distilled into one little space rather than spending an entire day digging through these books. And maybe it references it somewhere else or makes some connection in that book that I'm never even going to get to because I'd have to read the whole book to notice it.
Sure. Well, and I like that approach because I want to see the conflicting reports. I want to
Mhm.
see the exceptions. I want to see because that gives me a better picture as to what we're dealing with. That's one of my issues with um, analogies. Actually, I hate analogies
Yeah.
because nothing is ever perfectly analogous of another thing because it's not that other thing.
Right.
And so, whenever we look at anything, we're kind of talking about bias here. No matter what we're dealing with, the author has a bias. They do. They just do. It may
Yep.
be a limitation of their data set. It could be just the way that they think about it. This may be their experience, whatever. They're biased. It's a given. I love seeing confrontational biases where we have two opposing views of the same thing where I can rectify and go, oh, okay, that creates my exceptions. That creates my caveats and nuance. That creates my whatever. It's so much more beneficial to me as the end user, and having the AI to be able to distill all of that down and give me the, well, this author says, but this author says,
Mhm.
super useful. And it wouldn't
Yeah.
take me hours and hours to, to do it myself.
And the thing I like about that is it takes out a lot of the AI interpreting
Yeah,
because
it's just what's there.
it's just literally copying and pasting a lot of what's there and saying, here's where it is. Now, it's not perfect. I still don't trust AI, but it's one little hack,
Sure.
right? And you're using your own source material, which is really helpful as well.
Well, and that's kind of what we were trying to do for ourselves because like I wanted to build just like a Raspberry Pi.
Mhm.
running a very, very crude AI, just enough horsepower to really just take 50 books or whatever and distill it down to useful, hey, I live in zone 7. When should I start planting my crops? I want to grow this, this, and this. Oh, well,
Right.
you should do that here, like this. You should do it in this environment. You should do it on a slope or a well-drained soil or whatever. I want to have animals. Oh, okay. Well, if you're going to have animals, then you might want to consider, that kind of
Right.
information.
Yeah, almost something that's and we're getting close to being able to do something like this. But yeah, using something like that is like a local semi-smart search engine
Yeah.
for the accumulated data that we have. So yeah, that'd be awesome.
So for
Um,
those who are watching, is that something of interest to y'all that you want to see? Because it's going to take a lot of work to get it to be operational.
mhm.
If that's something that people actually want, then I'm definitely willing to spend the time to develop it.
Another thing to think of it as is as an offline database,
Yes,
right?
because it would
So
be
yeah, because you could, I mean, like I've said, I've got terabytes of books,
right.
but to sort through that personally to find the stuff I need, and there might be information in a book that I don't even know it's in because it's not labeled as a book that would have that information.
Yep.
Um,
Oh yeah.
so yeah, if people are interested in something like a truly offline database that you can run on your own hardware, yeah, we've talked about building that, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. But you got to have a market for it before
Exactly. Yeah.
putting the effort in. So, Jared, have you ever heard of Gelman amnesia?
I have not. I was really looking forward to hearing about this. Okay, so what is it?
Okay. So, amnesia. Imagine you're sitting there reading, 20 years ago, reading a newspaper, and you're
Okay.
reading it cover to cover, and you're maybe a financial genius, and you read the financial part, and you're like, that's crap. That's crap. That's wrong. That's totally false.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to crash, but they're pumping it. And you just tear apart the financial part of the paper,
Sure.
and you turn the page to the sports. You're like, oh, that's really interesting. Wow, that's great.
Okay.
And you
Now I get
you,
you.
you turn the
Yes.
page to politics, and you're like, oh wow, that politician really is corrupt, right? So
Yes.
you've seen the source, and you when you have knowledge about it, you're like, that's total crap, right? Or it's really good, but you trust the source for the things that you don't know about.
Sure.
That is the idea of Gelman amnesia.
Yep. I totally understand that.
Um,
Because I've done that on TikTok. I'll be scrolling through and somebody will be talking about something. I'm like, they're wrong. Like, that's not how that works.
right,
But then, yeah, I'll see something else and they'll be talking about something that I'm not as familiar with. I go, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if that is. It's like,
right.
I really should, yeah, be, internally, I should really ask more questions.
Yeah. And it's fine to go, oh, that's interesting. I can look into that. I can start learning about that.
Right.
But when you see somebody or something, the media, that some organization giving bad information on the thing that you know and know well, you should be on the lookout and very skeptical of the
On
other
everything
information.
else. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. Yes.
And especially when it's something you know well and you can look at it and go, either, there's a few different options. One, they're ignorant. Two, they're malicious. Or three, they're just a little bit off and maybe they're just trying to make it simpler. Right.
Sure.
There might be other options. But when you know about it and you can read through it, you can probably parse that out. And when you can do that, now you can basically look at that source for whatever they're bringing you. Now, this could be Fox News, right? Or it could
Yeah.
be MSNBC. It could be whatever you're paying attention to or your favorite YouTuber. Consider that. If there's something you know about, use that as your basis to
Mhm.
figure out if you should trust that person, that source, that
Sure.
information.
So on the opposite side of that equation, my concern is confirmation bias
Mhm.
because I may have a specific bias myself, and if I'm looking for information and I agree with somebody, I can't automatically assume that they're right either because that would be assuming that I'm right, and I'm not
Correct.
necessarily right. So how do we deal with confirmation bias in light of
Yeah. And this goes back to our last podcast, right?
Yes, it does.
On thinking about, and this is my take, I want yours, but
Yeah.
my take is you use effectively the scientific method and try to prove yourself wrong. You
Yeah.
hold on to your conclusions lightly. And
Agreed.
it's not a it's not a weakness to be willing to admit when you're wrong.
No, it's such a good strength. It is such a good strength.
But I think our society, we were talking about this earlier in this episode, we were talking about how I don't like I'll just step back. It's easy to think that people will assume that you're an idiot if you admit you're wrong,
Oh yeah.
right? Like,
Back to our insecurities. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, our insecurities and how we can get stuck on those insecurities. And it's like, well, if I just admit that I'm wrong when I'm actually wrong and look for that and be willing to do that, like people will trust me more. I would hope at least. Though some
And
people
if
might
they
not.
don't, then they're not worth worrying about because
Right.
yeah, no. Well, and that's been really for me been really beneficial in my relationship with my kids
Mhm.
is being able to stop and say, you know what? I was wrong about that. That I assumed, I thought this is why I thought, but
Mhm.
knowing what I know now, that's not right. I
Yeah.
was wrong about that. Has been
Even
really
sometimes I'm
beneficial.
sorry,
Yeah,
right?
oh yeah, right, to that
Yeah.
extent of like, no, I condemned you because but then I turned out to be wrong. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I should not have. Um,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think, you know, confidence, there's this constant balance between confidence and humility. Like if you
Yeah,
get too far on the humility, you're useless. Get too far on the confidence, you're
you're
useless.
useless.
And so there's this line to walk of being willing to recognize when you're wrong, um, and also being able to be confident and in some cases somewhat forceful
Mhm.
with with what you know to be right when everybody says you're wrong and you know you're
Yep.
not.
Yep. Agreed.
So I bet you've got some more books there.
I do.
While you grab one, I'm going to plug your store because most of these books are in Jared's store
They are.
between Spencer and Sparta, Tennessee. I think, can you order them online as well?
You can. My
Awesome.
yeah, go to www.resilientliving.com and you can get and there's I have a whole books section. So you can just go through the books section. The Encyclopedia of Country Living.
Yep.
Okay. Not the most entertaining read. I will grant you. It is boring as all get out.
Show that
But
again. There's
oh,
a reason.
okay.
Okay. Show the author.
Oh,
She's on the bottom, I think there. Clara Emery. There is
yep.
there's another one titled the same thing, and it's pretty much garbage comparatively.
Oh, there are so many thank you. There are so many counterfeit books out there. It is insane. I don't care what topic you're talking about. What's that one that's super popular? It's all over the social media, the apothecary, the 250 whatever remedies.
Mhm.
Don't go on eBay looking for that book. They're fake.
Yeah.
And I, I feel bad for the poor authors because they're losing money because there's these counterfeits. Was it the Navy SEALs Bug-in Guide? There's tons of counterfeits out there. Make sure that you're finding the original author and it's an actual authentic print because
So
we want to support these authors.
and
They're
Clara
doing really
Emery,
good work.
yeah, she's excellent. And so the way you can make sure, so everybody knows that you are getting an official copy, is order it from Jared.
There you go. So yeah, the Encyclopedia of Country Living it's a dry book, but it's not to be read. It's not to be r-
Red.
read. Thank you.
There you
It's
go.
not to be read as a nighttime story. It's for doing research. Hey, I need to know about there's a chapter on that. Go check out the chapter and it will walk you straight through whatever. And it has got everything you can imagine and like 20 things that you didn't even think of. It's a good resource. Coming from a medical background, medical stuff is important to me. So where there is no doctor, is a great resource, because you don't always have access to medical care, and sometimes you have to make do, um, because that's better than dying. Um, truth be told, I mean, like it's. I also have where there is no dentist because teeth stuff that suck, and so you really should have a resource available to you to deal with these things. So a lot of my books are they're resource guides. It's when you need it, it's there. You have it at your disposal. Um, the Herbal Medicine Maker's Handbook. So let's say you have the Herbalist Bible. You great. You've identified what herbs are. You know how to grow them. The Herbalist Medicine Maker's Handbook teaches you how to make it into a tincture, how to make it into a salve, how to use these herbs for their medicinal purposes. It's a great. I've only gotten in part way. This was actually you recommended this book.
Yep.
Um, I've only gotten like think a third of the way through, and there's so much in here. It's wild.
And it walks you through in such a way that if you were to actually go through the book and do the recommended uh various things, that like it actually will step you through what would be essentially a master herbalist course, like
Yeah,
a like not
it's
just a
deep.
course, but like the entirety of the schooling you would need to do to become a master herbalist. It actually steps you through that, and I have not done that yet either, but it's a great reference source. I needed to start making some salves,
Hmm,
and it gave me the information I needed to go and do that. But if you
nice.
want to make a tincture, if you want to make a, extraction, whatever you want to do,
Yep.
it walks you through those things. So yes, it's an excellent resource, and if you want to learn, you can read through it and do the exercises, or you can just have it on the shelf for when you
Yep.
want to make something.
Yeah. Absolutely. Trying to think. If you can get your hands on the Foxfire books, it's great. I went looking for the whole collection, and ooh, they're expensive.
Mhm.
If you can find them, they're really pricey. I mean, like hundreds of dollars to get the collection. But
Do
they're really
you do you know the backstory of the Foxfire books, and would you be willing to tell it if you do?
good. Go for it.
Okay, I don't know it super well, so correct me where I'm wrong if you know it. Um, Basically, there's this teacher in very depressed Appalachia, um, and he could not get the students to learn. And part of his story was that, like, one day he even came into his lecture and set on fire, like just not from malicious intent, but from
Oh,
kids just being so destructive and distracted.
yeah.
And he eventually started or like took over or whatever the school newspaper.
Okay.
And what he did was he sent these kids out, like he started sending kids out from the school newspaper to
Yeah.
interview local
To collect the yeah.
elders, right?
Yep.
And these kids started doing it, and then he started doing like his dry English class that nobody liked and nobody paid attention to. Instead of doing this dry English thing, he decided to just send his kids out to start collecting stories from the people in the area.
Yep.
And the kids responded so well that the vast majority of them went on to do pretty incredible things with their lives. And in the meantime, they took all of these stories that they had collected for the school newspaper, talking to old timers, like getting collecting their experience and their
Mhm.
stories, their herbal remedies and their ways of doing things that they had preserved, and they put them into this series of books called the Foxfire books.
Yep. Well, and even when they took pictures of the people and put the pictures in the book, so it has the actual people in the books. It's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
I'm going to
but they're
here-
so random. So like this Foxfire 3, like this is the title. Animal care, banjos and dulcimers, hide tanning, summer and fall wild plant foods, butter churns, ginseng, and still more affairs of plain living. It's the most random collection in the world, but they're phenomenal.
yep. Um, I don't think I can put a link on here, but if you
Hmm.
do a little bit of digging, there are several websites that carry PDF books.
Mm.
Um, and on those websites, some of them are going to be like copywritten stuff that you really should not. I
Right.
mean, if you own it, fine, download it. You're not going to get in trouble for downloading it if you can find the site.
Yep.
Um, but I've downloaded again terabytes worth of books, a lot of them totally out of print. For example, is it the Permaculture Designer's Manual
Mm.
from like 87?
Yeah.
It's out of print. It's last time it fluctuates. Last time I checked on Amazon, it was like $300 to get a hard copy.
Woo.
And it's like nobody's making money on it anymore other than the resellers. So I don't mind downloading a PDF of that. And the same is true for the Foxfire books.
Sure.
So if you can find them, I personally have no moral qualms with downloading them. And then if they get printed again or something,
Go
go pick
support.
up. Yeah, exactly. So one of the things I wrote down was go get your hands dirty.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we learn that way. That's
Mhm.
how we learn is just digging in. I would add to it, go get your hands dirty with somebody.
Yeah,
Build
absolutely.
that relationship. I'd never replaced the engine on a Jeep Cherokee before. My buddy's like, "Hey, my engine exploded." I said, "Okay, let's figure this out." And we did, and we became even better friends because of it. Like, because I knew him okay. We're still really good friends. That was, almost 20 years ago.
Awesome.
Yeah, go get your hands dirty. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and do it with a friend.
Yeah, build community. On
Yeah.
that note, before we get too far, or before I forget to do it again, because I was going to say it earlier, for those watching live or watching in the very near future, we're going to have a get together, a free get together. I'm going to do a
Oh yeah.
class on it's practical permaculture. It's like how to put it into action in a really practical, useful way. I'm going to teach that class, and we're going to have just a time of fellowship, of getting to eat together, having a potluck. You can see some of the work we've done on site. This is going to be out in Hartsville, Tennessee on September 13th. So it's Saturday, a couple Saturdays from now.
And where can they sign up?
So you can find that just if you go to my Facebook right now is where I've got it. Just find me on Facebook. I've got it posted under there. I'll post it some more, but um, that's where I'm having people sign up and find the information at time being. But if you're in Middle Tennessee and you want to meet other homesteaders, learn, actually go get your hands dirty with people, that's a way to do that. Um, Outside of that, I'm part of a GSD crew, which is a Get Stuff Done crew. Um, I'm trying to keep it family
That's
friendly.
right.
Where people just basically it's kind of like a modern day barn raising crew where
Nice.
we go to each other's properties and get big projects done. Um, so, there's mutual assistance groups, things like that, where you can get together with people, and usually there's somebody there who knows more about the thing you're doing than you do. And so they can kind of guide you on all this, give you inspiration, give you understanding. You go get your hands dirty, you learn about it. You're touching soil. It's a good time. Um, and it's an excellent way of building community, helping others, and learning things all at the same time.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
My biggest issue, um, going back to the insecurities, is my pride. I allow my pride. I don't want to be the one who needs help. I want to be the one that's helpful,
yeah,
and that I'm limiting somebody else's opportunity to be the helper,
yeah,
and don't do that. Allow
right.
yourself to learn. Allow yourself to be in that position of like, hey, I need help. I need assistance. I need encouragement. I need something. So yeah, that is awesome, man.
Yeah. No, and that's really true because like you remember this, you helped me. We had our house we had a mold infestation issue because of the HVAC.
That sucked.
Yes, it did. So Jared came over. Not only was my house completely torn apart, but there was no air conditioning. It was hot. It was unpleasant. We were crawling through, 200-year-old walls.
Yeah.
in crawl spaces and other places. Um, but he came out, and there other people on other days came out to help me because I needed help. And part of that is I've put time into relationships and building that in community, but part of it was just people want to help. And you're right. When we don't ask for help and don't want somebody to help us, we're limiting their ability, one, to show compassion, to show kindness, to learn something, to teach something. Um, and it's easy to look at a project and go, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
And then I know it won't get screwed up, but then it just sits, right? It
Right?
doesn't ever get done.
Yes.
Um,
Or
so
gets
yeah,
started and never gets finished.
yep. Yeah, so good point with getting your hands dirty and doing it with other people. It's getting other people involved in the projects you have, or going and getting involved in the projects they have. Another one I put down for, like, how do you figure out and sort through truth? How do you, in a
Hmm.
world gone mad, how do you
Right.
how do you find truth? And I put down building your BS detector.
Yes.
So, and that kind of goes back to things like Gelman and amnesia. But do you have any examples of how you've built your BS detector and what that might look like?
Oh, trying to do, I don't want to sound arrogant.
Don't
Well,
worry about it.
it's just it's been such a long endeavor of learning so many things about so many things that I catch those little details and go, wait, no, that's and going back to your what is the
Gelman amnesia.
Gauman amnesia. I noticed those things like, well, wait, if that's not true, then this may not be true either. I don't know enough about that to be able to say it, but because I know this, I make those connections like, and that's my detector kind of, and everybody knows something about something. I mean,
Mhm.
you got to start somewhere, right? And so just learning a little bit about a lot of things has really helped me um, out in life
Yeah.
because I make connections that other people wouldn't make because I have this weird plethora of data that just runs around in my head. And I realize my head's weird. My head's wired differently than other people's. And I actually enjoy learning about lots of different things. Um, hey, play to your strengths. Um,
Right.
so for everybody else, like maybe it's you don't know it, but learning how to do how to do the research, how to find those white papers, how to find the hardest thing in my mind is for the people who are already busy and they
Mhm.
don't have the time to sit down and research the stuff. That's hard. That makes it really difficult to know whether it is BS or not.
Right.
So for those people, how would you help them to develop their BS detector without spending inordinate amounts of time doing research?
Yeah. I think it really does come down to the extent that you can, starting to be, um, I don't like this term because people don't know what it means, but a polymath, like
Okay.
somebody who tries to understand and do a certain amount of various, somewhat disconnected things.
Yeah.
And what I think that does is it gives your brain the ability to start making connections that otherwise seem disconnected. You'll start to see, like, when you work on pattern recognition, you'll start to see these patterns that other people don't necessarily see, and that you start to see in all kinds of places. Um, you know, that might be, you start to see in politics that you start to see the corruption on both sides, or you start to see, how things actually work. Like, you name a bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, and it's the exact
That's not
opposite.
that's not what it does. Yeah.
Yeah. You name the bill CBDC, and it's not actually what it does. Like, you start to recognize those patterns. And I'm using politics because it's fun to poke at.
Poke
But
at them. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and it's an easy target because it's so absurd. Um, but you'll start to see things like that everywhere as you start to get pattern recognition. You'll start to see where you're being lied to, or maybe it's not even lied to. Maybe it's just somebody who's ignorant,
Yeah.
expressing something.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so, and figure out how to weigh things, one thing against another, rather than person is wearing a lab coat, therefore they're correct. It's okay. What is, part of the getting your hands dirty is what is my personal experience about this thing?
Yeah.
If somebody's telling me that rocks are really light and I go outside and I try to lift up a rock and I'm like, that's not light, that's really heavy.
Right.
Maybe they're confused about what rocks are. Or maybe they've only been on a movie set and rocks are really light on movie sets and
Sure.
they're squishy, right? Like you start, I don't know, I'm going off the rails, but when you start to understand or learn about different things and see how the physical world works, see how things fit together, connect with a lot of different people, you start to see the patterns. When I got to be careful on how I say this. I know somebody who is a special operator for a Fortune 500 company. Why does a Fortune 500 company need a special operator?
That's an interesting combination. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you start digging. Then, now every time I see that company come up in the news, I'm like, that company needs special operators.
Why? Yeah.
Why? And what are they actually trying to get at? And so you start to peel back those layers, and you may not know, but when you start asking that why, honest why, like you're not trying to pin anything on anyone. You're not trying to, prove yourself right. You're trying to prove yourself wrong, but you're also asking the question why.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason toddlers ask why over and over and over again. It's because they're doing a natural process of building that in their head. And yes, it's horribly obnoxious.
Yeah.
But they're going through that process. Yeah.
It's a good ability to build in is why, because they ask why in so many layers. Like you said, it's like, well, this is the answer. Well, yeah, but why is that the answer?
Mm-hmm.
Well, but then why is that when it's this way here, but not over here? What
Mm-hmm.
are the exceptions? Though all of that is really crucial in our cognitive development. That's like my kids. They don't always enjoy math. I'm like, that's okay. It is okay for you to not enjoy math. However, you need to learn it not because you need to know math, but because it changes the way that your brain functions. It fundamentally shifts the way that you think about life, about data, about people, about everything, and allows you to think in ways that you weren't going to be able to think otherwise if you did not learn mathematics.
Absolutely.
Super important.
So we really didn't get into biases and logical fallacies and things, which
that's okay.
Yeah,
because I had like survivorship bias in there because we were going to talk about statistics, and I was like, oh, okay, we got to have both sides of the equation here. So yeah, because statistics is so tricky.
It is. That's why one of my books
is so important.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the books I put down was How to Lie with Statistics.
Yes,
which I think was written in the 60s.
I think so.
And when you read it, like there's new tricks. But one of the big tricks that they expose in that is the term average.
Yes.
Right. So average could mean you add everything together and you divide by the number of things you add together.
Right.
Right. So you've got median and mean. I'm not going to try to explain which is which, but you could do it as adding everything together and dividing by the total of things added together.
Right.
Or average could be like let's say median income. You could, or average income. You could calculate it as the lowest paid person in that county and the highest income person in that county. And you divide between those two. That's average.
Right. Yep.
And so now average could look like, I don't know, $500,000 because one person makes $0 and one person makes $1,000,000.
Yeah.
Right. Or you could add everybody together and divide it by the number you've added together.
Mhm.
Those
You
are
can you
very,
can
very,
get rid of the top, you can get rid of the bottom and do the million in the middle.
mhm.
There's a lot of different ways of
Yep.
parsing it out.
Exactly. And that's been used for forever. So if you ever hear the news say the average number of people, that
Yes.
the word average is a dead giveaway that they're lying to you or trying to hide something.
Yeah, it's not the whole picture ever.
Right.
It can't
Yep.
be.
And that's one of the big things that, like, the book How to Lie with Statistics made really clear is there's all these different ways to come up with average.
Mhm.
And if you're not specifying what your average is, you could have an
It's useless
average,
information.
right? You can have an average income of in the same county of $30,000 and an average income of $500,000 because you're making that average differently.
Mhm. Well,
So,
and depending on, like, when you're doing polling, how big was your poll? How many
mhm.
people? Under what circumstances did you poll the people? Where did you find them? Like, there's
How
so
did you
many
ask
different.
the question?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, show me the actual question that was answered and the
Mhm.
possible answers that you allowed them to answer with. Yes, there's so many ways that you can skew. It's ridiculous.
Yep. So I do think survivorship bias is really important. So could you give us like what to look out for and how to avoid that fallacy essentially in your own
Sure. So
mind?
this came from World War II. The aeronautical engineers were tasked with up armoring the aircraft because of the damage that they were taking. So these aircraft were coming back. They had all of these bullet holes through the fuselage, through the wings. And so they were looking at all of the different holes and the location, going, okay, these are the places that we need to up armor. And one of the engineers wonderfully said, well, wait a minute, it's not the ones that make it back that are the problem. It's the ones that didn't make it back. Where are the holes that, where are the other places, the holes that mean that the aircraft didn't make it? That's what we really need to focus on, not where they did get shot, but where they didn't get shot because they did make it back.
Right.
Did I explain that well?
Yes. No, that's perfect. Yep.
So in reality, okay, let me think about, like, from a homesteading perspective. If somebody had an issue on their homestead, we were able to deal with that. That's going to be very different than if somebody gave up homesteading completely. That's going to give me actually a lot more useful information. So why is it that they gave up?
Mhm.
Was it financial? Was it experiential? Was it, what, animals, plants, whatever? So, in the church, is it people who are staying in the church and their frustrations that's important, or is it the people who never come back in the door again that is what we need to pay attention to?
Right.
That's survivorship bias.
Yeah. I think that's I think that's really valuable because we do that so often, right? We look at what's in front of us and there's other examples, of course, like, the people who make it through are going to have a very different opinion than those who didn't. And so yeah, yeah, we are all survivors to the extent that we are, to
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
gotten here.
and it's not to discount the issues that the survivors do have,
Mhm.
but it's to bring to light the ones that you don't see,
Right.
the unspoken voices that don't exist anymore because they didn't survive. That is really important to also acknowledge, hand in hand with those that do survive and are damaged.
Yeah. Well, I think kind of in summary of all the things we've talked about is the ability to hold all these things in balance,
Mhm.
to never get so far on one form of thinking or one way of parsing out data that we get lost in it or we,
Sure.
one of the things that I've had to be somewhat careful of is as I see the lies and corruption and all that around me, not to get so tied up that I go, everything's a lie, you know?
I can get very cynical very fast.
Yeah. and
I totally understand that. Yeah.
everybody's against the small guy, or like everybody's against me. It
Yeah.
You have to keep all of these things in balance and all of these things in check. And that can be um, a lot to wrap your
And
brain around.
it comes back to community, and my perspective is having those other people in community with me can keep me in check, can give me a better perspective, can speak into my life, can help, can bear that burden with me, whatever. Um, Doing it alone, yeah, you're going to spiral
Mhm.
if you really start thinking about all of this stuff that we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And community is going to give you that. Hopefully, you're finding a community that will give you that balance. They might be weirdos like you and I. And they might
Yeah,
they might have odd opinions, but that's so important to have
it is.
odd contrary opinions. Um
Yeah, I don't like when people come in the shop. I love talking to people in the shop because they've come in with just uh, the most extremes of opinions and views,
mhm,
and they're people. They aren't
right.
their opinions, and I can understand their perspective when I talk to them. It's like, no, I get why you came to that conclusion. I see the life that the struggles, the whatever.
Mhm,
Um, when we look beyond the person to their beliefs, their opinions, their whatevers, and we dehumanize them, we're doing so much of a disservice to themselves and to our own life and mindset. Um, yeah, because it's not this false dichotomy that we in our brains try to create. It's us or them. It's, you versus me. It's, right versus wrong, or black versus white, or left
right.
versus right, or whatever you want to say.
Well, and that's how the media paints it, right? They
Mhm.
want us fighting because you can control people who think that the enemy is the person next to them who uh, thinks the other thing on the hot button issue at the moment, and it
Right.
keeps us from recognizing the 95% of things that we agree on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, pr-
Absolutely.
Probably most people, if you actually sit down and talk with them, don't think that burning and melting plastic on every square inch of the earth is a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I,
like
probably.
they
Yeah.
don't have to be an environmentalist to go, that's probably. But there's a few people who are like, yeah, just whatever, who cares? But most people don't. Yet those all of those people who have I think most people have at least some concept of environmental conservation, even if it's not a great concept of it. And rather than being able to talk together, work together, grow together, and come to understand each other, the media has us neck and neck about something I personally think is a complete hoax. You know, like, but I can understand and get along with people who believe that and not think that they're idiots, not think that they're jerks, not think that they're, uh, destroying everything because they think something different than me.
Right.
Um, I can realize that I think that there's things being done really wrong. I think we're destroying our planet in many ways. And though I may not agree with that person on the exact how, the reality is if we step back, the solutions are surprisingly simple, but they're dividing us so that they make the solutions something that's beneficial to a certain class as
Oh
opposed
yeah.
to, it's a financial benefit to somebody, but isn't an actual solution. And
Mhm.
so if we can come together, be kind to each other, recognize that we may never fully agree,
Right.
but the solution to the environmental issues that I think we should all be concerned about, whether you're concerned about, I don't know, the weather gods being angry, or, you're concerned about pollution runoff from farm fields, or, losing topsoil, or whatever your concern is, the solutions are actually all the same. And if we can talk to each other and be kind with each other instead of fighting at each other, we don't let the globalist elite essentially make a giant Ponzi scheme that we get entrapped in because we're talking to each other. And the reality is that the best way to fix this is to start doing things on our own property that reduce the runoff, and
Yeah.
to encourage other people to do that, and to start buying products that are produced in a way that reduce that runoff, or reduce the, if carbon emissions are your thing, buy products that are pasture raised,
Yeah.
instead of industrial farmed. Like, the two of us, instead of yelling at each other and getting mad and thinking we're idiots and bad people, can sit down and talk and go, you know what? The solution to both things that we're concerned about is actually surprisingly simple and surprisingly similar.
Yep.
And how can we work together to actually do this, and love each other, treat each other with kindness?
And respect. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot more of us than there are of them.
Yeah, exactly. And we would live in such a better world if we shut off the TV. There's this overly on the nose song by Willie Nelson's son. What is his name? I don't know. Nelson.
Yeah. Right.
Who it's called, well, it goes, turn off the news and build a garden.
Ha.
And it's just this song about your neighborhood and you building a garden, turning off the news, ignoring it, and building community, and, creating food rather than getting distracted by, the next thing.
Right.
Because that's the only thing you can control. What is your circle of influence? What is your circle of control? How do we come together? And there's really, truly answers, and the news doesn't have any of it.
Right.
So, yeah, there's my rant.
There you go. Sounds good.
Well, Jared, is there anything else you wanted to touch on there that you think is important in this idea of finding truth in a world gone mad?
Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, it is the ultimate source of truth.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think, his teachings point us to, in some ways, all of these things.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so. This is all like, yeah, it is.
Yeah. You see him standing up against the modern ideas of his day that were divisive, that made groups. And it wasn't that he had some mushy middle of the road message, right? No. But all the outcasts were welcomed in. Sinners were welcomed in. He sat down, had dinner with them.
Yep.
He didn't say, this is good, this is okay,
No.
you should keep doing this. No.
But he gave them an opportunity to come up out of that life, to change, to be something different, to be something better that they truly wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in what he did, you saw prostitutes, former prostitutes, breaking bread with Pharisees.
Right. How wild that must have been.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Right. It's just like it breaks and shatters everything that we think is godly and right. Like, we need to fight this person who doesn't agree with me on this thing. It's like, how about I get to know that person and show them love and kindness?
Yeah, kind of like what Jesus did. It's crazy.
And again, not saying that something that Jesus said was immoral is okay, or that the Bible says is immoral is okay, but preaching at somebody who doesn't already accept the belief system that I accept is not going to push them into that, is it?
Right. Why would a world that doesn't believe what I believe be impacted by what I say I believe? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Now, if they actually truly believe that I care about them, that's a different conversation. Mm-hmm. If I really truly want to see the best for them, that's a very different position that I can actually speak from. Like, hey, look, I really care about you. Let's talk about, your life. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you have a year or 2 years of, I'm coming over and helping you mend fences, or,
not talking about God. We're living life together. We're just hanging out.
Yeah. Or we're sitting by a bonfire together, or we've broken bread together.
Yeah.
It's a very different conversation of, hey, I see this thing going on, and I see it hurting you. You know, you're drinking too much alcohol and it's
Whatever. Yeah.
killing you.
Yeah.
And that might not even be the core, but are you willing to talk about it with me?
Mhm.
Like, I really care.
Because I really care. And then they understand that. And then
Mhm.
you're like, oh no, I know that you actually really care about me.
Yeah. Yep. And to sit with them in that,
Mhm.
right? To be willing to sit with somebody in something that's uncomfortable. And I'm not going to do it on the podcast, but to sit in silence with somebody in some cases.
Yeah.
You know, open air is a bad practice here, but
Yeah.
that awkward letting it be, letting something be in a conversation, in a relationship where both sides know they're loved, both sides know they're cared about. Yeah, so valuable at times.
Hmm.
So I love that. We didn't even have that on our notes,
No, we didn't.
but thank you for bringing it up. I think it's an excellent way to end this. So
Agreed.
with that, Jared, could you
Yes, sir.
tell us what you do, where we can find you,
Absolutely.
what your business is?
All right. My name is Jared Wilson, and I run Resilient Living. We are a small store halfway between Spencer and Sparta on Highway 111. We sell emergency preparedness equipment, books, knives, camping gear, a lot of hiking stuff. I'm the curator of a lot of nice gear. I like my gear. I think my gear's good stuff. You can follow us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok, Resilient Living. Except for TikTok, that one I ended up with resilient_living. But yeah, www.resilientliving.com.
Cool. Thank you. All right. My name is Ryan Steva. I run and own the homesteadconsultant.com. I do, well, you're probably watching it on this, but I have the Homestead Consultant on YouTube. So youtube.com at the Homestead Consultant. And you can find me on other socials, which I don't put much effort into, to be really honest. But yeah, if you want help with your homestead, sorting through issues, my real expertise is finding creative technical solutions for things that need technical solutions. But I help people set up their homesteads in efficient ways and work through problems that you have. So that's me. So thank you everybody for tuning in today. We really appreciate it. We love your comments and your interaction.
Yes.
It's huge to have your input on these, and we do this every Tuesday at 6 p.m. So tune in next week if you want to be a part of it again.
Awesome. Have a good night, y'all.
Bye, everybody.